Hello friends! Today's activity is going to be a guided imagery. So first off, we want to relax, so get a comfortable position. And I invite you, if you feel comfortable with it, close your eyes and listen to my breathing exercises. Okay, so we want to start off with a really deep breath in for about 4 seconds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let it go for 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, in 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And one more time. Deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now let's start the guided imagery part. If we're nice and relaxed, if you're not, go ahead, you can replay that part. And when you're relaxed, we can move on. Okay, closing your eyes, and I want you to imagine you're out in the city and you're walking down the streets. You could be alone, you could be with other people, it could be during the day, it could be during the night. Any city you want. You're just walking down the streets in the city and you pass by a deserted store. And you notice an object in the window that's been left in that store. I want you to think about, what is the object? I want you to try and see in as much detail as you can. What is its color? What is its shape? How big is it? Is it a large object? Or is it a teeny tiny little object that got overlooked? Is it a brand new object that was left behind? Or was it used by someone before? Is it a typical object you might see every day? Or is there something really special or unusual about this object? And I want you to think about the history of this object and how it got to be in the window. So did it come from a big store manufacturer? Was it handcrafted by someone with care? Was it owned by a child in a family? Was it owned by a parent who passed it down to a child? Did it belong to an animal, a dog perhaps? Was it just found on the street one day and someone thought it was interesting? Where did it go before it came into the window? Was it taken home with someone somewhere? Is it an object that was worn or carried? How long did they have it for before it was forgotten? How did they forget it? Did they leave it somewhere on purpose that they abandoned it? Or are they still out looking for it somewhere? And who found it from the store to put it into the window? Is there anything else in the display with the window? Is it the only thing of its kind, or are there a couple of things similar to it? Does it stand out at all? Or does it blend right in, completely overlooked? And as you're walking by and you stop and look at it, what do? Do you go in to buy it? Or do you keep on walking? Okay, I'll let you think about it for a minute. If you're done, I'll ask you to open your eyes. If you still need time to think about it, just go ahead and pause the video. Take as much time as you need. You can go back and listen to my questions again if they're helpful, if they're not, and just try and think by yourself. Okay, if you're at this point, then you probably have the object in your mind. I would like you to get out a piece of paper and try and draw the object. Or you can paint it, or you can use any sort of clay or plastilina if you prefer, any sort of Play-Doh. And I want you to create the object so that we can all see it with you. Okay? You can feel free to pause and do that. I'll show you mine. I did the activity myself, and when I was walking down the street, it was a nighttime. There was raining, and it was at night, and everyone was just bustling around, walking on by. And what I saw that was abandoned is this little stuffed teddy bear. It must have been well loved before because it's missing an eye and part of a leg, and it has those green corduroy overalls, like that story from my childhood. And it's surrounded by other toys from Parker's Warehouse, is where I said it was. It's nighttime, so all the lights that would normally be on display are off, and there's a ladder in the background from where they're changing the displays. And next door, there's a sale at Antonelli's. Last chance on these beautiful dresses. And so here I am walking along. We have two different traffic lights because it's a four-way intersection. You can see the crosswalk here. And not only was this teddy bear left behind, but this umbrella was also abandoned somewhere on the sidewalk. I did mine in pencil first, and then I did some parts in color pencil and some parts in marker. So you can either finish here, or we could try and figure out if stuff means anything. We can talk through why we drew what we drew. Feel free to tell anyone around you, or you can just write it down for yourself, and you don't have to share it with anyone if you don't feel comfortable. If this was a therapy session, we might start pulling apart things, such as where things are placed. To the left side of the page tends to be the past, and on the right side is the future. So we have our mind, we could possibly say, maybe I'm looking at childhood going into more adulthood. We have a lot of choices here with the stop signs, with the traffic lights, I'm sorry. Also very interesting is this brick wall around both storefronts. Whenever we have a barrier, we find that very interesting because there tends to be a barrier somewhere in our life. And what kind of barrier is it? It's not, in this case, it's not a wooden one. There's no holes in it. Doesn't look like it's going to blow down. This is a very, very sturdy barrier, which can be a good thing because it keeps a lot of things out that are bad. So all these toys in the window, they're going to be safe there until they open the store in the morning. Or a wall this thick could be keeping things in so that things can't move and they can't escape and there's no way to leave and move. Not really sure. There is a divide here, another barrier, which isn't quite as thick between the two storefronts, maybe because they're rather similar. We could think about this teddy bear. The teddy bear is very interesting because with mine, it wasn't from a manufacturer. It was owned by a child who loved it so much, it lost one of its legs, it lost an eye, and now it's ended up in this resale shop with things straight from the warehouse. So it really stands out because it has such a history and a past here. I could take a couple steps forward and ask what the teddy bear is thinking. Is it a problem for it? Does it feel insecure that's surrounded by shiny new objects and it's a little bit beat up? Or does it feel comfortable in who it is, knowing that it was once really loved by someone? Maybe he wants to go back to that family and he misses them and he looks for that little child in the window every time someone walks by, but they're not a little child anymore, they're an adult, and so it can be hard to recognize it. Or possibly it's looking for someone new, a new family to love it just as much, a whole fresh start. And it's never really abandoned if it's going from one loving home to another. Plenty to think about. That was just an example I did for this exercise. Whatever yours is, I'm sure it's a very interesting story all of itself. All right, thank you for listening. Till next time.